How's it going? In this video, I'm going to talk about Permatrack. What's Permatrack? It's this. It's a metal channel that's made specifically to hang these pixels, waterproof RGB LEDs, on your house. When I installed these LEDs on my house 3 years ago, the hardest part was drilling the holes in the channeling. I had this plastic channeling and I had to drill a hole every 3 inches, and it was hundreds of feet. And I drilled hundreds of those holes, and it took a lot of time, and it was quite a mess. It was painful, definitely painful. So I came up with this to simplify and improve the process significantly. Permatrack like this comes in 5-foot sections, and there are 20 holes, one every 3 inches. Each section has 3 of these little brackets. You screw these brackets to whatever you want to mount it to, and then you can just squeeze the channel and it locks into the bracket. Hanging this stuff on a straight line is no big deal. But when you get to the corners, it can get a little tricky. This is a DIY project, so I expect that most of the people who will want to do it can figure out for themselves how to make their corners. But I also know that there would be some people out there who would appreciate a little bit of guidance in how to handle some of these funny angles and crazy corners. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to demonstrate some ways to make nice corners. I'll show you a horizontal 90. That's the easy one. I'll also show you an angled vertical corner, a peak, and I'll even do my best to show you how to do the dreaded horizontal 90 with the angled vertical combo. That one sucks. I'll also show a few different tools you can use for cutting the channel, so then you can decide which is best and which is just barely acceptable. These are the different tools we're going to try. I've got the miter saw with a cutoff blade, the angle grinder with a cutoff blade, a couple different kinds of tin snips. These are some kind of antique. A hacksaw with a miter box. And I think you'd call this a power nibbler maybe. I don't know which one's going to be best. We'll try them out and see. The Permatrack comes in dark brown or white. And you can get it with holes on the bottom or holes on the side depending on your taste. This is the dark brown with holes on the side. You can have them facing into the house or out away from the house. White with holes on the side, white with holes on the bottom, and brown with holes on the bottom. You can have any color you want as long as it's brown or white. Since I have the brown here, it would be probably kind of hard to see a black marker. So to mark where I want to cut it, I'm going to use a white crayon. And the crayon wipes off nicely too. To make a horizontal 90-degree corner, you want to put the channel up against the corner and make a mark at the point where you want the outside edge to be. Then get yourself some sort of a square like this. Line up right to that mark and make a line to cut. And then the other way, make a line to cut. We are going to need to cut this edge as well. And then we can just bend the channeling along that line. So for a horizontal 90, it's going to look like this. I think I'm going to make this first cut using the tin snips. So I'm going to extend this mark down this way. And then same thing over here. Get to the edge here. Like that. So that's what I'm going to cut out. I've had these tin snips since I was in high school metal shop. They actually still work really well. This stuff might be a little thick. Hey, not bad. The problem with tin snips is it's going to deform the channeling a little, so you will have to go back over it with maybe a pair of pliers or something and straighten things out like that. because that will no longer fit in the bracket. A pair of pliers, straighten out any edges like that. And the longer the cut, the worse the deformation's gonna be. I've got another pair of tin snips here. I don't honestly think they're better than those, but we'll give it a try. Try these one more time. Wow, these are dogs. I love these little guys. Look at that, they're actually made by the Acme Steel Company. For all you Roadrunner fans that didn't believe that Acme was a real company. Okay, not the prettiest. We also need to cut this edge so that we can bend it along this line. So that's one method. The best part is this outside corner. If you do it like this, you get a nice rounded corner. Not too bad, not too bad. So what's next? Now let's do a vertical angle. So for an angled vertical, you're going to need something like this or some other magic method for determining the angle of your roof. Let's assume, for my example, that my roof was at a 20-degree angle. Once you know what angle the roof is at, you need to make a mark at what's going to be the edge of the roof. For this example, this mark is going to be the edge of the roof. So at this point is where the angle roof starts. Now I need to make two lines that are 10 degrees each. I need the complementary angle for 10 degrees, which is 80 degrees. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the pivot point and with 80 degrees. And then I'm going to clamp it in place because I only have so many hands. Now I can slide this until I get to the point that I want to cut, which is where I made my line before. All right, that's that. Now let's do it the other way. Same thing, we can mark the inside edge right at 80. Make sure that other side of the ruler is at the pivot point. Okay, right there. So that should be 20 degrees. Use the square to carry that mark over to the other side. There we go. Oh, that's precision. Wow. Gonna have so much fun editing out all these clanks and bangs. Make sure that's on the 80. And line this up with that. There you go. High precision. Woo-wee. NASA's gonna be calling me. Can you come build stuff for us, please? You're amazing. And about there. Okay. Square that up on the bottom. Like that. Sweet. So now we've got V on this side, V on that side. For my next trick, I want to try this. Never used one of these before. I can only go about that far. I like that tool. I don't think it's made for this kind of cutting though. So far my favorites have been these. This is what you need. Just get yourself a good pair of Acme tin snips. Okay. Darn you. Hacksaw time. Oh, this is gonna Okay, well, if you have somebody working with you that's helping you that you don't like, give them the hacksaw. Tell them, here's your job. Oh, I'm sweaty. Let's check our angle. Great, perfect. So we had a 20-degree roof, so it's pretty close. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's take the angle grinder and see what we can do with it. As far as cutting with the angle grinder, it makes a pretty clean cut, doesn't deform the edges too badly. It's hard to get a real straight, good line. You're doing a lot of freehand, but if that's the tool you have, it's certainly serviceable. Now let's look at how you need to make cuts for a peak. Let's pretend that these are the edges of my roof. You could use a square and a ruler, like we've been doing. You'd have to take the square up to the roof, put one side up against one edge of the roof. This would have to be on the outside of the roof edge. Then you can lay your ruler in here and line this inside edge up with the edge of the roof. Or instead, you could get one of these. I know it looks like some kind of a weapon. I don't exactly know what it's called, so I'm going to call it the Angle Findinator. With this little guy, you get up on your roof, you put one side up against one edge of the roof, and the other side up against the other edge of the roof, and then you tighten down the little wing nut. Now you basically can take the angle of your roof from the inside edge here. So now we can use this inside angle to make our cuts. We can get down off the ladder and do things peacefully in the garage. In order to make our cuts for a peak, what we need is half of this angle. I'm sure there's a bunch of ways you could do it, but what I'm going to do is measure the angle on my square. It's going to be about 50. Then half of that is going to be 25. So now I go back to my square and ruler combo, which has served me so well. Now that's going to be the angle for my cut. Where I made this mark here is going to be the very tip of the roof, the very edge of the peak. Better carry it over a little like that. All the angles are there. You just got to figure out how to rearrange things so you get the right angle in the right place. But that's the angle we want. So, and then we do the same thing over here. Okay. Excellent. Now we need to cut this. Let's cut it with, let's use the Dremel this time. We'll extend the lines to the other side. This one over there. And now we don't have to measure the other side. We can just connect the dots. All right. So this is the section we need to cut out. Well, that is not my favorite way to do that, that's for sure. So let's try, I think since we've got such a long cut here, let's go back to this thing for a minute. And then it only goes so far. That's as far as I can go. I have to do something else with the rest of it. It's good for what it's good for, though. Alright, but that should make my corner that I need for the peak. It's pretty close. These are still my favorite so far. The only thing I haven't tried yet is the chop saw. So let's try that next. If you're sure you know what your angles are going to be, you can adjust this. You can adjust it in this dimension as well. If you know the angle. This has a grinding blade on it, or a cutoff blade, I guess. Same kind of thing as what was on the angle grinder or the Dremel, just 10 inches instead of tiny. Let's say we wanted to try this. Now this only goes to 45, so I can't make a cut more acute than 45. What I could do, I'd have to make the cut like this. I don't like that very much because I'd be holding this thing kind of freehand. I would be pretty concerned about actually holding that straight. It's no worse than freehanding the angle grinder probably, but you could use it for the horizontal 90s. It's going to cut all the way through, so you won't have a bent edge. I kind of like the bent edge. I think that's nice, rather than a cut edge that you have to piece together. I guess let's make a couple cuts and see. I would suggest long sleeves. Ouch. Leaves quite a bit of rough edge. Leaves a lot of edge. Then you'd have a corner like that. Ah, that's not great. Okay, well, to each his own, but this is actually not my favorite. If you're just making straight cuts, it's probably fine. If you're good at getting the angles, then that'll be great. Watch out for a lot of this extra stuff, and of course it throws sparks everywhere. So that's no fun. As for me and my house, we're going to use the Acme Shears. I like these. For my next trick, let's talk about end caps. So say you've got a dead end and you don't want your channel just open like that. You want to do something else to close it off. One option is to cut away either both sides and fold up the bottom, or cut away one side and the bottom and fold in the other side. The channeling is about 1.5 inches wide. For those of you on the civilized part of the world, it's about 40 millimeters. So we can come in 40 millimeters, or thereabouts, right about there. And now we can cut off these edges. And there you go. That'll give you a decent edge. My lines weren't straight, but you get the idea, right? Or you can also use one of the sides to bend around. So let's do that on this side. We're going to come over here and cut this edge. We do need to cut it here so that we can bend this side over. And there you go. There you have some options for how you're going to get to an end. Now there's one more. We need to butt up against another piece that's coming in at an angle. So let's imagine that this is the angle on the roof and it's coming down. We're going to say that we already cut that end so that that's the right angle. But we want to make sure that we can get our cabling through there. So we make a corner just like we did here, or something like this would work the same. Then all we have to do is cut out one more square from this edge so that these two lumens of the channel can go together. So let's do it over here. Still the best. Now we can butt up against this piece, and that makes a pretty nice edge. And you can still put all of your lights and your wires inside the channel. So when you fold it out, that's the trick. It's having a shape like that. So you've cut out basically 2 lengths of the width of the channel on this side, 1 length of the width of the channel on the bottom, and you bend that in, and then you can butt this up against there. I've noticed a lot of houses have a corner like this where you've got a piece that's flat and then you've got an immediate 90 plus a vertical angle like this, and they kind of suck. But I think if you keep this part horizontal, cut the edge of this at the angle that you need so that it matches the house. We already talked about how you do that. And then cut out the side of one of these. That's a decent solution. You could probably 45-degree both of them if you want, but I think this is a decent solution. So in my house, that's what I would do. Well, that's it. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Now you can go back and cut your own angles on your Permatrack and feel reasonably comfortable with how to do different things. And as far as our testing of the different methods for cutting this stuff, hacksaw, Dremel, grinder, power thing, these Harbor Freight shears can go in the trash. But these Acme good old-fashioned cast iron, I think is what they're made of, my favorites by far. So I will see if I can find these online someplace and give you a link to get some. If you're looking to buy Permatrack, the link is in the usual place. That's all for now. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time, adios. If you need help or want to chat with me or others who also enjoy projects like this, you can find us on Facebook and Discord. If you like what I'm doing and you want to support me, you can use my special product links in the video description, or head over to Patreon, or just like and share my videos. That's easy. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, this box will take you to a playlist of some of my favorites. In addition to videos like this, I also do live streams every Sunday. This box will take you to a recording of the latest live stream. That's all for now. Adios.